Hello BeeBusinessBee fans and welcome to this BeeBusinessBee vlog where I'm going to look at the topic of pest analysis. You might be thinking, what do I mean by pest analysis? Well, I'm talking about the political factors, the economical factors, the social factors and the legal factors. Some people call it PESTLE, we're going to call it Pest. And you're probably looking at this when it talk about external influences on a business. So the external factors that can impact on a business. Typically with pest analysis, you need to go out and you actually have to do some analysis. So when we're looking at the political factors, for example, we'll look at maybe legislation or Brexit, that word we keep hearing all the time. Like, whoa, what does that word mean? Well, we've all heard about it, but it's a massive political factor. For some businesses, it means they're stockpiling. So they're making sure they've got enough components in place so they can operate in case there is any issues with bringing imports into the country. Or for other businesses, they may be looking at the opportunities to export to new markets, or maybe they need to relocate some of their aspects of their business to take advantage of the single market and the free trade that comes with being in the EU, and will that deal still apply? So that might be one of the factors that's being looked at. For other businesses, when we're talking about political factors, it could be things such like the business rate cut. So you may have heard in the budget, the government has announced that for small businesses, stroke medium-sized businesses, they're going to cut the amount of business rates they're going to have to pay to try and make it more competitive for them in the market. They want to make it so that they can compete against some of the online retailers. So that is a political factor that has a big impact. There's also the UK spending on high street economic regeneration that they're spending, about £635 million. That again is a political factor. If you're a business in the high street, it's a great factor that's going to help your business. And then you have the living wage, going from £8.75 up to £9. It's a factor. You can look at it on the positive side. It means that people have got more money to spend, so that means it's going to be good for your business because you can spend more money. But on the downside, also a negative because it's going to cost your business more, possibly increasing inflation, one of those negative factors that you've got to consider. Then, of course, we move into our economic factors. And then we're talking things such as inflation, interest rates, exchange rates, and what's happening with those, how they impact on a business. Let's start with an easy one, exchange rates. Look at the period over 10 years. It's been going down, so the pound has been getting weaker, which of course is good for exporters, bad for importers. Remember, stronger pound, imports cheaper, exports dearer. But a weakening pound, of course, could be good for our economy, and if you're an exporter, you're liking that. If you're an importer, you're probably thinking not so good. And that's where we get into the hedging idea. Interest rates, record lows. Look at them going down. They've gone down from a really high point all the way down to quite a low figure now. Slightly going back up again now to 0.75. But interest rates have been low. Good if you're a business and you borrow money because it makes cheaper borrowing. So you can take out, if you've got a mortgage, for example, you've got loans, cheaper. But of course, on the downside, if you've got any savings, any investments, you want to put any money in a bank, bad because your interest rate's quite poor. Typically in economics, as we know, people are going to spend money when interest rates are low, so that could be a good thing for business. It's one of those great things. Inflation, though, the increase in prices. Now, inflation, the target from the government, 2%. At the moment, 2.7%, higher than the target. And we know that's bad for business because we know that inflation makes people feel sad, they want to cry, they don't like inflation, they become scared, they hate inflation. It makes them want to save their money, and that is bad for business because they want you to go out and spend money. So that's one of those factors you have to consider, as well as consumer confidence index. And if you look at the 2018 consumer confidence index, it's not good. It's been on a downward trend, and that is quite worrying for business because when people don't feel confident, they don't go out and spend money. But that's an external factor, and that's an economic external factor you need to factor in there. Now, let's move over to social factors. Well, these are things like changing demographics. So maybe you need to factor in the aging population, for example. That could be one of the demographic factors you need to build into your business model. Do you need to target a new audience, or do you need to think about how you're going to get there? Changes in taste and fashion. So what's in fashion, what's not in fashion? I'm sure that purple's in fashion, my favourite colour. Unless obviously clearly I like my yellow being a black being a bee. But it's what's in fashion, what seasonality's in there. So they could be the social factor. If you're a business like a retailer, you might have to consider that. Also, shopping habits. It's now estimated that more and more people are shopping online. So you need to factor that in. Do you need to build in, for example, bigger investment in your online retailing aspect? Do you need to build in how you model your shops, for example? All these factors have got to be considered. Different things like that need to be considered whether your business is going to be successful or not. And they are social factors. Now, alongside that, you then got technological factors. Things like the internet, investment in online, investment in new technology. So it might be, have you got a mobile app that works, for example? Have you got technology that works alongside that? Have you got different methods that are going to succeed and complement each other? So they're like the bricks and clicks option. You've probably seen about retailers in the high street talking about now how people want to buy online, collect their item in the store. That's a brick and a click idea. Then you've got new technologies like 4G, 5G. How can they benefit you? Can you use artificial intelligence? For example, can customers take a picture of themselves and then will it work out which items of clothing are ideal for them? So it can model the clothing, suggest what they're going to buy. Can it track where they walk, for example, in a shop, and you can then map out what's the best method for them, what's the worst method for them? It's all these different factors, these different considerations that you've got to think about when you start talking about economics and a business. These are all small factors, but they're all technological factors, and technological factors tend to cost money, but they are also now probably linking more and more in with your social factors because they give you the competitive edge. Now, that is pest analysis. And I've just done that in, well, basically a few minutes, just whizzed through it dead quickly. You will only understand that when you do some proper research. So what I would say, following this week's BeeBusinessBee vlog, I think you should go and sit down and you need to go do some research. Go and find out the interest rates. Go and find out the changes in taste. Go and find out what companies are doing about external factors. And then you'll fully understand pest analysis. But you know what I'm going to say now? Until next time, keep buzzing.